Do you know the difference of what you should say to the police during a traffic stop versus being questioned at the police station? This is Christina Williams with Just Criminal Law.
And David Mann, legal storytelling specialist. All right, we have talked about a few aspects of this in the past, but remind us all again. So you are pulled over. Let's put everybody in this position. You're pulled over. It's a traffic stop. The police officer walks up to your window, and then what should happen?
Sure, the officer's probably 90% of the time going to ask you, do you know why I pulled you over? And, here's where you need to keep your wits about you. You always let the officer know, no, I'm not sure why you pulled me over. Don't speculate. You don't know. And that's you starting down the right path. So let the officer tell you why he pulled you over.
All right. And so they might say something like, well, do you know how fast you were going?
Right. And again, you can just say, sorry, officer, please let me know. And sometimes they have you clocked and sometimes they don't. So just don't volunteer any information. Don't say, yeah, I was doing, 85 and a 75, because he doesn't have to prove that anymore. You just admitted to going 10 over the speed limit.
Okay, so assuming it's a traffic stop for, say, speeding, they're going to walk back to their car then, to their squad car. They're going to come back with a ticket for you. Is there anything you should say at that point?
Well, this is where it's, maybe they'll write you a ticket, maybe they won't. This is where, you get more with honey than you do vinegar, so to speak. And so you can be nice, and the officer may discretionarily just write you a warning. That's on the table. But if the officer's like, well, I'm going to have to write you a ticket, again, cooperating, smiling, being pleasant, you can always ask the officer, say, you were doing 15 miles an hour over. You can always say, hey, officer, I'd really appreciate it. I'm sorry I was speeding. I just didn't realize I was going that fast. Is there any way you could write my ticket for only 10 miles an hour over? And, I've done this before, and they'll agree to do it. So it doesn't hurt to ask. So you might as well ask, can you write this for 5 less?
Does that save you money then? Is it a cheaper ticket?
Well, in the particular instance where I did it, I was in a different state, didn't know anybody necessarily, and I was in a construction zone. I was going 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. I asked the highway patrol officer to write it for 5 less, and then when I was able to, once the ticket was written and I had the court date, I reached out to the prosecutor, and I also asked the prosecutor to write it for 5 less. So it just looked better, and she agreed. It just looked better on my driving record. Instead of being 15 miles an hour over, I was 5 miles an hour over. I still paid the same fine. I didn't ask to reduce the fine. I just, again, it doesn't ask to hurt. So just a little side tip.
And this wasn't in where they knew you already as being Christina Williams, the defense attorney, right?
Correct.
All right, great. So, we're still at this traffic stop, and say that has all happened with the ticket, and now they start asking about other things, like were you at a party and have you been drinking or something like that. Now what happens?
Sure, you'll notice when this goes from just a routine traffic stop about the speeding into a different investigation. So the officer might ask you, hey, anything illegal in your vehicle, any drugs, anything I should be worried about, guns, knives. He's shifted from, hey, this traffic stop is over regarding the speeding ticket, to now I'm investigating you for something else. Or, do you mind if I ask, have you been drinking tonight? And this is where you need to have your wits about you for sure.
All right. So you say the classic line.
Yes, the classic line. I'm sorry, officer, I just don't want to discuss my day. Am I free to leave?
Great. Okay. Easy to remember. Now, in case maybe you didn't say that and you end up down at the police station, or you end up at the police station for some other reason possibly, and they start asking you questions, what are the types of things that you might hear at the police station that they're asking you?
Sure. Say this is we're out of the traffic stop context, and we've just got an officer. Maybe they stop by your house or, your place of employment, or they ask you to come down to the police station. And this is what you call a consensual encounter. That is, you've stopped, they're talking to you, and they don't have a warrant. You aren't actively speeding or, like being investigated for a DUI or anything. They're just wanting to talk to you consensually. And so in that type of situation, you have to, very much so, let the officer know that you really don't have time. Right now is not a good time for me. You go to the classic, I don't want to discuss my day. Am I free to leave?
Okay, so no matter what, they're going to, we've talked about this before, they're going to really try to make you comfortable. You might even say that, right? You might even say, hey, I don't want to discuss my day. Am I free to leave? They might say, yeah, I totally get that. But I'm just wanting to know if you were at, Susan's house at 7 o'clock tonight. I'm just wondering, she's wondering, or something like that to get you in further conversation.
Right. They are not going to take no for an answer. And you just have to be firm in that whether it's true or not, I really don't have time right now, officer. We can talk about this later. Wink, wink. And am I free to leave?
All right. That seems easy to remember, probably a little bit harder to do in the moment, but it is easy to remember, all the way from the car window to the police station or just at the police station. And it all leads to, eventually, if you are in some sort of trouble or being accused of being in trouble, you should call a lawyer, and that should be you. And what is that number?
Sure. Well, we'll include a link in the description where they can call, text, or chat with a member of my team anytime, day or night. Here at Just Criminal Law, we know you only get one shot at justice, so make yours count.